Okay, so a couple things here from today's game that I think were obviously glaring stats. Um, 14 penalties to none. We can't get 14 penalties for 120 yards in just pure yardage, not to mention the yardage that you lose in positive plays, that those plays get pulled back, and they have zero. So we've got to clean that up. We've got to clean up the self-inflicted wounds in that aspect of the ball game. The second, 3 of 17 on third down to 8 of 19 on third down. They were able to stay on the field, extend some drives. Our inability to do so hurt us. We really struggled to find rhythm offensively, to where I just felt like today was a big little day. And that's unfortunate, because I think there were some things there when we look at the tape that we'll be frustrated when we see it. And then defensively, we didn't tackle. Their big plays they got came from us having them in our grasp and not getting them on the ground. So those are kind of the four major issues coming out of the ball game today that we've got to get rectified. Obviously, we're heading into the bye week. We need to get healthy. We were a little banged up coming in, got more banged up today. We've got to get healthy with the guys the veteran guys that have been playing. But we've got to push these younger players to put themselves in position to get on the field where we feel comfortable putting them on the field, that they can operate when their number's called.
Questions? Start with Joe.
Did you at any point consider pulling Quinn?
No.
Was there anything up with his hand? He had a glove on pregame.
No, his hand is fine, and no, I didn't consider pulling him.
Go ahead, Nick.
Now, obviously, you mentioned the penalties before, but I guess what would you attribute that to? Was it maybe guys being a little jittery on the road? Because I know you felt like you'd made some strides in that department the last few weeks, so why do you think maybe they took a step back in that regard?
I don't think we were jittery at all. But for whatever reason, we jumped off sides again. We had some procedural issues offensively. We had holdings offensively. We had pass interference defensively. So there's things that are very correctable that we can get fixed, and we'll get fixed.
Danny.
Steve, on that last drive, would you have wanted Quinn to spike the ball in that situation?
No, I called that play. It was not on Quinn.
Armor.
Coach, obviously, quarterbacks are going to have some sort of off days. What were you trying to tell him and try to communicate with him during today?
More so just settle down and trust his progression, trust his read, trust the call. We weren't great up front today either. I thought it got a little leaky. To their credit, I thought they played pretty good. Again, when we hit the plays we wanted to hit, we got explosive plays. I just felt like at times he was a little jittery in the pocket, but again, we didn't help him. We tried to help him with some easier type throws. Unfortunately, it wasn't effective enough. So that's on me. We've got to have a better plan in place to execute at a higher level.
Go ahead, Cedric.
Quinn's a very reflective, self-analytical type. What do you say to a young quarterback for all of this time between now and the next game? It's a lot of time to be thinking. There's not a game coming.
He's going to have a great career. He's got a great career ahead of him. There's going to be a hell of a lot better days than today that he'll have. He's in the young stages of his career. So we'll get back to work. We'll work on the fundamentals, the techniques, the schemes to operate those things. We'll make sure that he's going into the next ball game with a great deal of confidence that he can execute this offense and do it at a high level.
Sam, go ahead.
I guess a little bit of rotation in the offensive line and interior offensive line. I saw DJ Campbell get some time today. What led to that?
We're just trying to build depth. DJ's a good young player. He's worked at it. He earned that opportunity today to get in there. That's going to be beneficial for him and his future, and it's going to be beneficial for us. There's going to come a time, knock on wood, that somebody's going to get a little banged up, and we got to have a sixth and a seventh guy ready to go. So getting DJ out there, I think, was good for him.
Jeff, go ahead.
Sark, this is your second loss this year, and your fifth in the last 2 years where you had a double-digit lead in the second half. Is it disappointing to kind of revert back to that and some of those mistakes where it seemed like through West Virginia and Iowa State you were kind of turning the corner?
Yeah, it's very frustrating because for somewhere in there we lose, whether you want to call it focus, mental intensity. We didn't operate very good, and a lot of it was self-inflicted wounds. I don't take nothing away from Oklahoma State; they deserve to win, but a lot of what happened today was self-inflicted wounds that, they didn't beat themselves, and they kind of hung around, and we started to beat ourselves. And so correctable issues, but that's our job as coaches to get them corrected. So that's going to be our focus moving forward.
Back on your left, setter.
Steve, for the record, Quinn is your starter moving forward.
Yes, sir.
Sam, go ahead.
Steve, before the missed field goal late, looks like Quinn had X kind of in the corner of the end zone. Did X misjudge that, or was Quinn off? Could you tell what happened there?
It's hard to tell. It was the right read. It's hard to tell. It was the far sideline, so I couldn't quite see it great. It was the right read. Seemed like the right placement of the throw, but I can't tell from my vantage point of if it was misjudged or not.
In the middle, Danny.
Steve, did you feel that Oklahoma State was able to make adjustments as opposed to how they defended the run, or was that just
No,
not?
they did. They adjusted to some things. The thing with the run game for us today was, we had 100 yards on 2 carries, just about. And then we had 30 more carries for about 100 yards. And so I would have liked to have been a little bit more efficient in the run game. I wanted to stay aggressive. They were playing a lot of man coverage, throwing the ball. We couldn't find the rhythm in the passing game that I would have liked. But they kind of force your hand that way. Some of the runs we had, we didn't block as well in the second half. And so as a staff, we have to look to make sure that we have the ability to call our best plays available, which I thought we did. But when we look at the tape, we'll see if that's true or not.
2 last ones. Start with Jeff on the far right.
Sark, outside of the missed tackles, why do you think Oklahoma State was able to have so much success throwing the ball over the middle of the field?
Hard to tell. I don't know if we were walling receivers well enough, inside out. That was the plan going in. But they were able to find their windows in there. And we had some opportunities. The ball was loose. We had our hands on balls in the air. We didn't come down with them. That's physical nature of just sometimes you don't make those plays. But we had opportunities to get some interceptions. The ball got popped out. They recovered it. But knowing that they were going to work the middle of the field by their slot receivers and then getting in there, we've got to assess how and why that happened when we look at the tape, because that was the plan. We knew that was something they liked to do.
Last one. Anwar.
Coach, how much of a loss was Anthony Cook, him going down an injury, and then do you have anything you might be able to share? I know he was in the sling in the second half.
Yeah, definitely hurt losing Cook. Anytime you lose a senior in the back end who's played a lot of football, that has an effect on us. He was playing hard. He's playing well. He ended up breaking his arm, but we'll assess it more tomorrow of what it looks like for his future that way.